Hello, everybody, and welcome to a brand new episode of Beats and Beatdowns. This is season 2. It's episode 9. I'm Bobby Munson, and that handsome gentleman right beside me, you know him. He's Karl Carafel. Karl, how you doing, sir?
I'm a little indifferent today, but I am okay. Don't want anybody to think that there's anything wrong because there definitely isn't. It's a beautiful day to be alive.
That's right. Every day is a beautiful day to be alive when you always look on the bright side of life, as Monty Python once said.
Right?
They are not the subject of today's topic at all because I don't believe they had any influence on pro wrestling, but maybe we'll scratch our heads over that one a little bit longer. Today, we're going to talk about the DOGGY. That's right. Snoop Dogg is on the list here. It's the letter S, and Snoop Dogg. This is a guy I've been looking forward to talking about. And, you know, we've said it before, we're both metal fans. Snoop, definitely not metal. I don't listen to a lot of rap. I have listened to rap, and certain artists I really respect the hell out of, especially when they've made a very long career like Snoop Dogg has. But I was saying before we started recording this that Snoop Dogg amazes me in so many other ways outside of his music, and we're going to get to talk all about that today. This is a man born Calvin Cordozar Brodus Jr., I believe. I hope I got that pronunciation correct because it's definitely a little tongue twister.
That's how I would have pronounced it.
Perfect. We're on the same page at least. But yeah, we're talking about a guy whose music dates back to, I believe it was 1993, if I'm not mistaken, when his first solo record, 92. Oh man, so I missed it by a year there. 92 when his first solo record, Doggy Style, came out. Well, it was produced by Dr. Dre. And again, man, when I read that part, and I think I had forgotten that Dre was behind producing Snoop Dogg at the beginning, it makes you realize how much of a great ear for rap music Dr. Dre has, because everything he tended to bring forward and produce has had longevity. And I say that because, and I'm not knocking the rap artists that are out there, but a lot of them, in terms of like their marketability and longevity, tends to not lend itself very well. They come out strong with something that people are really listening to, and then after that, it falls back into a more independent scene for a lot of those artists, or you just never hear from them again. But some of the ones Dre has produced, like Snoop Dogg, Eminem, longevity within those guys in terms of hits that are on the radio. Their careers have grown over that time and still in the public spotlight. And that was a very shocking thing. I had forgot all about the fact that Dr. Dre was the one behind making that album a possibility with Snoop.
Definitely was. And just to give people a little bit of a background onto how that happened. So you were partially correct. I do believe that 93 is when Snoop's first album came out. But in 92, Snoop was actually discovered by Dr. Dre. And as a result of that, he was actually prominently featured throughout Dr. Dre's solo debut album, The Chronic, back in 1992. So technically, we got the startings of Snoop Dogg back in 1992 with his first debut album coming out in 93. 93 was I'm gonna jump a little bit here. 93 was quite the year for Snoop Dogg, not only with the debut album that came out, but in the summer of 1993. And I'm sorry, I'm jumping things here, but Snoop Dogg and his bodyguard at the time, McKinley Lee, it's a tongue twister itself. They were charged with conspiracy to commit assault, leading to the loss of life of a man named Philip Wolder Merriam. Following hours of deliberation, though, the pair were acquitted of both first and second degree murder charges for the shooting incident that occurred at Palms Park. So you've got a debut album in 93. You've got this stuff that's happening in the summer of 93. Most normal people would be like, I'm done. I quit. This is BS. I'm not going to put up with this. if this is how things are going to go in my musical career, I don't think I can handle this. Snoop Dogg handled it very nicely and is continuing even to this day.
Oh yeah, and talk about a guy who has expanded and done different things over his career. And I'm talking just on the musical side again, not always just playing it to, being Snoop Dogg and being in that vein. Before I even talk about some of the more recent work that he's done that has changed from his earlier stuff, he's also known as doing a collaboration with Tupac Shakur, being one of the very last songs that Tupac Shakur did before his very unfortunate murder that took place. Yes. Again, so that will always live on as something that Snoop Dogg got to share with Tupac Shakur prior to him being taken from this world way too early.
And that's, I mean, it's beautiful that he was able to do that, because I mean, Tupac, again, one of those names that just is synonymous with the rap music. And for Snoop to be able to have that experience just helps elevate both people at that time. It definitely would have. It wouldn't have been, one elevating the other. They were both, at just about the top of their games at that point, and really helped elevate both people to show that, because you got to remember, Tupac fans were Tupac fans, Snoop fans were Snoop fans, right? And there wasn't really a lot of listening out to other different things. If you're a fan of this person, that's what you're listening to, and you're going to kind of gravitate more towards that style of things. Where Tupac was different in his musical stylings. Yes, still both of them performing rap music, but very different rap music from each other. For the two of them to collaborate and really show that, hey, there's a whole different side to just what you are listening to, was a fantastic idea for the both of them, and I'm happy they did.
Yeah, me too. And it's those kind of collaborations that you can look back on fondly. Wonderful thing. But going a little bit more modern into Snoop's career, he hasn't always wanted to just be Snoop Dogg the rapper, especially based on the raps that he did when he was in his younger years. In fact, in 2012, in a surprise move, he converted to Rastafari and put out his very first reggae-based album around that time as well, too. So branching out into the world of reggae did one Snoop, but not to be known as Snoop Dogg at that point. He was Snoop Lion. So you can find the Snoop Lion album, which is a reggae-based album from Snoop Dogg. And again, the name Snoop, by the way, as far as I've read, came from his parents. A nickname that his parents gave him is Snoopy because he was a big fan of the cartoon Peanuts growing up.
Well, from the reports that I have read, it says that his nickname, yes, Snoopy, because of his close resemblance to Snoopy, is what I have seen.
Okay.
So, and I saw that on a few different sites, different places. I had to really dig because I wanted to make sure that was going to be a real thing to talk about and not just hearsay. But yeah, his nickname growing up from his parents was Snoopy, and that would just later evolve into Snoop Dogg.
You bet it did. And here's a cool thing as well, too, before we even start touching on wrestling side, is, we always talk about, people getting their opportunity to play like at a WrestleMania or something like that. But football's version of WrestleMania, because we always say that WrestleMania is wrestling's version of the Super Bowl. But yes, the Super Bowl in 2022, Snoop Dogg had the opportunity to perform there. And what a huge, massive career event that would be, to be able to play the Super Bowl halftime show. And all eyes are on you and all criticisms that can come about it, because we have seen throughout the years artists get heavily criticized when they're not up to par for that halftime show.
Every artist that was part of that halftime show, I think, did splendid. And I really didn't hear very much negative come out of it, except, oh, why do we have rap?
Yeah.
Right. That was really the only thing. They really didn't criticize the artists that were there. And, I actually heard some people going, I can't believe Snoop is still as good as he is, or I can't believe that Snoop is okay. So everybody knows Snoop likes his marijuana.
Just a little bit.
Okay, he's a stoner. It's a it's a true story, right? So for him to be able to, and people were amazed that hey, this stoner can still perform and be as good as he was. It was impressive to some.
I'm just glad that again, guys like Snoop and some of the more well known stoners are starting to be able to prove to people that the stereotype that's existed for years and years and years doesn't apply to all people who use marijuana on a regular basis. I mean, I am someone who uses it as well too. I am proud enough to be able to come forth and say that. I even have the nickname of Snoop in my shoot job for obvious reasons. And I wear that with a badge of honor because
Oh,
it is okay to be a functional pothead in this modern
yeah,
age. And that is exactly what guys like Snoop are. What, and believe it or not, what a guy like Tommy Chong is as well too. The idea of Cheech and Chong always came about from Tommy Chong creating characters that were the stereotype of what people
yes,
thought as stoners. But Tommy Chong, the actual person, is a very, very smart businessman, writer, and a professional, just like Snoop Dogg is, just like Willie Nelson is. You know, these are guys that have been able to transcend it and show that you can be. Seth Rogen is another one as well too.
right,
I mean, these
yeah,
are functional stoners that have been very successful in their careers because they are hard workers as well too, and they have proved against the stereotype. And Snoop, man, you awesome. Like, thank you for breaking that barrier for the rest of us, so we don't have to hide in a closet somewhere and pretend like, no, I don't do this. I don't partake.
So you talked about how smart Tommy Chong was. I want to talk to Snoop's IQ a little bit here. So most people don't know this, but Snoop Dogg is actually one of the most intelligent rappers in the industry, if not one of the most intelligent people in the world. A reported IQ of 147. So to put that into a little bit of perspective for you, Scientific American claims that the average IQ levels for most people are between 85 and 115. Only a small percentage of individuals have an IQ above 130. This puts Snoop Dogg into that elite class of people with an IQ that's higher than 130. So we can safely conclude that Snoop Dogg is a genius.
Yes, and I'm not going to even try to debate that because I will be beaten up by anybody, I'm sure. Intelligently beaten up by anybody, especially by someone like Snoop Dogg. But yeah, it's amazing, and again, that is lent to all his business and stuff like that too. This is a
Yes.
businessman as well too. He's got some very successful businesses that he runs and operates, and now he's branched out into doing charitable work as well too. Not a lot of people realize it, but he has set up all these different charities that he is a part of, including, I believe, Snoop's football league for inner city youth. This is a football league that he has created for, young people growing up, to give them something so that they don't go getting themselves on the streets, getting themselves in trouble. Come play football. This is there to help them because they can't necessarily afford the gear, afford the playtime that some other people are privy to. So
Right.
Snoop is going about his way to help them out, and which included an appearance on Celebrity Wheel of Fortune where he played on behalf of the charity and cleaned up beautifully. He had fun on there. Everyone was expecting, Snoop Dogg not going to come out here and hit the mark, but man, he hit the mark. He won both, making it to the final puzzle and collecting a lot of money for his charity. And his intelligence just spills over into these other things that he does, and he is a remarkable human being.
So it's very interesting that we talk about Snoop Dogg being a pothead. I guess we could use that terminology. Nobody's claimed that as offensive yet. So
No,
Snoop Dogg is a pothead. You talk about Snoop Dogg being intelligent. We've talked about Snoop Dogg with the football team and going on Wheel of Fortune and cleaning up. Something that I found really interesting is that during Snoop Dogg's time, every year when he is coaching the football team, he cleans up. He does not indulge in marijuana for those 3 months. And that all came about because and I'm quoting what he says, I went to practice high one day, and one of the kids said, "Coach, you smell like my mama's boyfriend." And I had to check myself. I stopped smoking from that day for 180 days straight, and it made me a better coach, a better person. And I stopped smoking when I was coaching football. So every year I coach football around the kids, I don't smoke. So that's 3 months out of the year that I don't do that. Dude, somebody who is such a huge advocate for marijuana use, but then to say, I understand the influence that it can have on kids, and just says, I'm not going to do it for that time. What a human being.
Yeah.
Wow.
And I'll play into that a little bit too. And I'm glad you brought that up because I have rules of thumb when it comes to the use as well too, because I do use it both recreationally and medically on both sides of the fence there. But I do have a little bit of a rule myself, and I don't, of course, obviously, when it comes to the shoot job, I do not smoke prior to going to work. I do not smoke during work. I always leave that 100% clear. So Monday to Friday during the daytime when I am working, I am not using. When it comes to coaching, so I am a certified soccer coach. I don't know if I've said it on some streams or not before, but I am a certified soccer coach. I can coach up to adult levels within provincial spots within Canada. I'm basically one badge away from being able to do semi-pro coaching in our country. So when I have coached, and I have coached a lot of different age groups, whether it be U21 right down to U5 and everything in between, I do have a rule of thumb as well too. I come home from work, I have practice or I have a game. I do not smoke before, during, or until I am home. As far as like that, I don't even go and have one on the sideline after I think all the kids are gone. I don't have one in the car before going home, and I don't do it and then drive anyway in the first place. So note that. So I wait until I am home in the safety of my home to partake at that point in time, because yes, it is used medically at times too. So I will admit to that I don't stop like Snoop does because it could get ugly. But I do. But again, it proves that a lot of people talk about the addicting properties, and it's one of those things that people say it. I think people get addicted to, not so much actually addicted to it because it doesn't have an addicting property that makes you physically addicted to it. You get addicted to the process. That's what I'll say. And it's just like anything else. It's like getting hooked on a TV show, getting hooked on binging certain things. You get hooked on the process kind of thing. Not that it has the addicting property that, say, some of the hard chemical drugs out there actually physically do. Their alcohol can have on a person, those types of things. Marijuana itself, it's more of the process of it. And again, I don't condone doing it during times that you shouldn't be ever. I am 100% against the use of it because, again, whether or not your kids are okay with it and they understand it, and it's a little bit more open here in Canada since the legalization of it, I still am not okay being the person to do that. If their parents are okay with telling them and talking to them about it, that is their choice to make, not mine.
Right. Beautiful.
So how about that wrestling?
Right? So much that he's actually done in professional wrestling, whether it was, starting back in about 2009, coming through to 2021 even.
Mm-hmm.
There's quite a bit that he has done in the world of professional wrestling.
Yeah. And again, 2 spots on WrestleMania, which did not hurt his image whatsoever. I mean, we're talking about the Master of Ceremonies for the tag match at WrestleMania 24, where it was Maria and Ashley Mazzaro taking on Beth Phoenix and Melina at the time. So there was that opportunity. And then also accompanying his cousin, Sasha Banks, or Mercedes Monette, whatever she's going by, or whatever the commentators are saying at the time. But also, yes, cousin to her and escorting her down to the ring for her match at WrestleMania 32.
Yes.
So again, another big appearance. But you mentioned about 2001. Let's talk about that for a minute because it wasn't within the WWE realm this time.
I didn't even mention 2001. I said 2009.
Or,
What?
sorry, 2021. Sorry, you mentioned
Oh,
upwards to
2021.
2021.
Yes.
Sorry, I said
Yes.
2001. Sorry, 2021 stepped outside of a WWE appearance to go on over to AEW. Let's talk about that appearance for a moment.
So January 2021, AEW, he appeared on New Year's Smash, actually in the corner of, well, now returned to the WWE, of Cody Rhodes, and actually physically got involved by doing attempting a frog splash onto Serpentico. It was interesting to see and watch. I don't know exactly what happened or why it possibly failed the way that it did, but I give him props for actually attempting to do it, because it's something that a lot of people would 100% be like, nope, I'm out. Because you have to remember, 2021, that would have made him 49 years old doing a frog splash onto Serpentico, who I believe is in early 30s, right?
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah. And again, for anybody who's never stepped physically inside of a wrestling ring or taken a bump before, the second you might get that mentality of, I can climb those ropes, I could do that. Go take a bump and then climb that rope afterwards and tell me you feel like doing that again from that distance, because that's when the fear will start to kick in for most people, because a regular back bump or a flip bump from a standing position takes a toll on you. Go to that top rope and imagine coming down with all your weight at that point, and then the fear will kick in pretty damn fast.
Right. And you're not even coming down on your back at that point with a frog splash.
Oh.
If your knees are bad, you are so going to feel it, because you're essentially landing on your forearms and your knees.
Yep.
So yeah, good luck with that.
Unless you got a really
Snoop Dogg did it.
Yeah. Unless you got a really beefy opponent that doesn't mind you landing directly on their chest, right, to protect you. But yeah, it's a rare you're going to find someone that's going to agree to that spot with you.
Right. Right. It just blows my mind that Snoop Dogg at 49 years old was like, yep, I got this.
Here I am sitting at 40 years old, and I'm thinking, I don't even know if I ever want to take a back bump again, let alone be jumping off the ropes.
Right.
One of those things. But
so everything that Snoop Dogg has done within professional wrestling and within the WWE really nicely came to a conclusion, I guess we can say. And that happened again back in 2016, night before WrestleMania 32, where he was graciously inducted. And we talked about this, in previous episodes as well, about those people that we think that should be or could be inducted into the celebrity wing of the Hall of Fame. Snoop Dogg got that honor.
He sure did. And again, like, it's one of those things that when you make those appearances for the WWE, when you've had that involvement, inevitably someday down the road, they're going to give you that, that absolute honor. And Snoop Dogg, one of the younger ones, I'd say, that's been, given that honor as well, too. He's definitely, in terms of musicians in the celebrity wing of the WWE Hall of Fame, got in there a lot quicker than what some have. And, some that I think probably could still get in there that it probably, had a long road to get there in the first place. It's no different from any other Hall of Fame. I'm sure there's a lot of people that should be inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame that we're still pushing for, haven't made it there as well, too. But that take nothing away. Snoop Dogg deserves to be there for all the things that he has done, for, lending his music, for being on screen, for just being an overall person that is a personality that draws eyes to the product. And that's what he does. He draws eyes to the product. You hear that Snoop Dogg's involved in wrestling. If you're a casual viewer, you're going to tune in to see what the hell Snoop Dogg did in professional wrestling this week.
Right.
And what a career this man's had.
Oh yeah, he definitely has. I'm happy for him, and I'm happy for the successes that he has had, not only in the music side of things, but also as well on the professional wrestling side of things. And to even have a cousin in Sasha Banks, or formerly known as Sasha Banks, inside the business, just even allows him to still keep a little bit of relevancy within the world of professional wrestling.
It sure does. And you know what? When you get to Snoop Dogg's age and you got so much going on in your life and stuff like that, you might get a little tired sometime. And the way to combat your fatigue when you're a little bit older, even if you're a little bit younger and you're just working hard and want to be able to stay up late, you want to check out our friends over at rogueenergy.com for the alternative to the everyday average energy drink that you find in the stores. These guys are bringing you a no sugar, low calorie, vegan friendly alternative to those drinks. You can get the powder flavors to mix within your waters. You can get the shakers, all the swag over at rogueenergy.com. If you live in the US, you could also get the cans. They have just dropped the cherry lemonade flavor that has been selling like crazy down there in the US as well too. So hopefully that'll be a powder flavor that we can get up here in Canada. But hey, Rogue, we want cans here in Canada. Find a way. Maybe our local establishment can distribute them for you. Just send a whole truckload over to our houses. We'll set up the process from there. We can work something out. But rogueenergy.com, you can use that promo code OLEPODS for 10% off your order because we want to save you guys some money. But now, going over to the last segment of the show here, Karl, as always, we got to find out what our favorite songs are. So, your favorite song from the Dogfather himself.
Well, you know that normally I like to take a deep dive into things, and I did that with Snoop Dogg. I went back to 2006 from the album The Blue Carpet Treatment, and a song that just kind of resonated with me off of that album was Vato, Vato, from the album The Blue Carpet Treatment. It was different from what you would expect out of a rap song. It was just, it had different tones to it, and it wasn't just like a punchy in the face rap song. It kind of had a nice gentle flow to it that was just nice and easy to listen to.
And you know me, I tend to really like some of those big hits and stuff like that. And I was just about to drop it like it's hot when I realized I should go a little bit deeper on this one. So I'm going all the way back to the Doggy Style album from Snoop Dogg and a song called Murder Was the Case, because this song was the first Snoop Dogg song I was ever privy to. So I heard this song, very unique, very interesting, clicked with me right away, and it got me into listening to a little bit more of Snoop's music at the time, because I did like turning on quite a bit more rap at the time, and he is quite the artist. And that song definitely a standout from that album as well too. So go back and check that out. Check out Vato, another one from Snoop Dogg, as Karl brought up. Or let us know, what did you guys think of Snoop Dogg's career, and what songs are your favorites from this man as well too? We'd love to know. So you can reach out to us definitely on our personal socials. We'll get to those in a minute, but you can check out us all over OLE, whether it be Instagram, Twitch, TikTok, Facebook. We're all over the place on the socials. We're also on Twitch and YouTube, whether you're watching us here on Twitch for Our Local Establishment or the replay on Our Local Establishment on YouTube. Make sure to like, follow, subscribe. Do the same for Turnbuckle Studios and the Video Bros Network. Karl, my man, where can people reach out to you? Where can they send their love for music and wrestling to?
Easiest place, Linktree, linktr.ee/Karl Karafel. That's where you'll find every way that you can get a hold of me.
Beautiful. And for myself, you can get a hold of me over to the Twitter box. I'm Real Bobby Munson over there. Instagram, Video Bros SK. You can check me out Saturday afternoons with Papa Smoke, calling the action for Prairie Pro Wrestling. A new match each and every Saturday for you guys. And of course, multiple shows throughout here on Our Local Establishment. Next week, Karl, we have our season finale. This might not be airing on a Wednesday. It could be a Saturday. Again, these are pre-recorded episodes for all you guys. So we are working out the finer details. We've been teasing that we have a guest coming up and what the episode will be about. It is T is for the territories. And to better understand the days of the territories, we decided to bring in somebody who is a contributor here at Our Local Establishment, who grew up a fan watching wrestling in the territories. He spent time going to see Vern Gagne's AWA as a young man in the Winnipeg area and saw a lot of the stars prior to Vince McMahon's takeover of professional wrestling. So he's got a lot of wealth of knowledge when it comes to the territory days of wrestling. And we're talking about my man from Thursday nights, Mr. Papa Smokes. He's joining us for the season finale of Beats and Beatdowns, and we are very honored to be having him on. It is going to be a hell of a time bringing Papa Smokes into the mix here with us. First time we've had a guest, and man, I say it's huge. You don't understand the wealth of knowledge, everybody, that Papa Smokes possesses when it comes to the ages of the territories. This is going to be fantastic. So make sure to get your questions in. It's going to be a live season finale. So you are going to be able to interact with myself, with Karl, and with Papa Smokes on that day. So let's have a fun time with that episode. I think it's going to be great, Karl. Very much looking forward to sharing the time with Papa Smokes on Teas for the Territories.
I definitely am as well. And I want to let everybody know that, set aside some time because this episode might go a little longer than our normal, 35, 40 minutes-ish, depending on how you guys direct questions and go about things as well. It could be a little bit of a longer show, but the time will just fly by, especially when you start hearing Papa Smokes talking about the glory days, the beautiful days of the territories in professional wrestling. It is going to be fantastic.
Yeah, very much looking forward to it. And hopefully you guys all are too. As we said, like, subscribe, click all the notifications so you know when that episode is available. If you're checking out social media, you'll definitely know. And you'll know when everybody here in our local establishment brings you new content. And we're bringing you new content almost daily, but definitely weekly. Tons of stuff coming out from great contributors all over the place. We want to thank each and every one of you for spending the time here today, spending the time throughout this season as we're heading towards the finale next week. It's been a wonderful season as always. I think it only got bigger and better. And again, as a result, we will be bringing you a season 3, definitely 100%. We're not going to be going away anytime soon. We'll be doing 3, 4, 5. As long as we keep finding ways to talk about music and professional wrestling, we're going to keep being on your screen. So thank you for joining us here today. Stay beautiful, and we'll see you very soon. Rock on, you wonderful people.